I recently learned about a company who makes North American fighter kites. Now, this is really a great revelation for me because people ask me all the time, where can I buy a North American fighter kite? They watch them fly and they want to buy one and fly it for themselves. But most of the fighter kite flyers make their own kites, so there aren't any commercially available until now. Now, this is Wind Warrior. Wind Warrior is the company and the kite that came in this tube. The kite came packed in this tube, and when you're through flying it, you can disassemble it and pack it up in this tube. Very easy compared to packing and trying to deal with a kite that's rigidly constructed and cannot be taken apart. Now, when you get the kite, or when I got mine anyway, it came with instructions that were pretty simple. It's 2 pages. It describes how to assemble the kite and how to install the bridle. When you get the kite, it comes like this, with all of the spars and the pieces of line to make the bridle. Now, to assemble the kite, you take each bow that's already installed in the leading edge of the kite and insert it into one end of this special T-fitting that slides along the spine. Very simple and easy to do. Now, when you do this, you're going to need to flex the kite more than you might think you need to in order for it to form. Now, this moves up or down until it finds its proper place. It's just automatic. The bow material is carbon fiber. The spine material is carbon fiber. The sail material is Icarex, which is a polyester ripstop fabric, extremely durable, waterproof, and extremely lightweight. When the kite was made, it was stitched together. They didn't use glue or they didn't use double-sided tape. They used a sewing machine and made special pockets and reinforcements right where it needs to be. The construction of the kite is really very, very nice. Now, on the spine, they have placed a piece of aluminum tubing that has a small bend in the tubing. And this bend is what gives the spine the bent shape required for a fighter kite. It allows the kite to rotate and spin when there is no pressure on the sail of the kite. Now, after you assemble the spars, like I just did, then the next step in the instruction is to make the bridle. Well, the bridle's easy to make because the way they did it, they gave several lengths of bridle material and tell you which length to use for each part. They've already made holes at the precise location of where the bridle needs to go through the sail. You just poke the line through there, tie it to the bow, tie the other end to the bow, and on the spine, on the lower bridle, you do the same. You poke it through the hole in the sail and tie it to the spine. They give several pieces that are relatively short, and I made loops, that's what they recommend, and just they recommend a prusik knot. I just used a simple lark's head, which is just running the loop through itself and tightening it on the line. So the bridle construction is very clever and extremely simple to do. Anyone who knows how to tie a knot can probably do it in a short period of time. Now, one of the things that I really think is cool about this kite, for someone who is relatively new to flying fighter kites, is that when you compare the size, I mean, look at the difference in the size. The surface area of this kite is more than double the surface area of a kite that I typically fly. So what's that going to do? Well, it's going to do a couple of things. It'll make the kite fly slower, and it will produce a relatively strong pull on your flying line. Now, I think the slowness of the kite is a real benefit for someone new, because when a fighter kite reacts in its unstable condition, when the tension on the line, on the flying line, is 0 or near 0, often confuses a new kite flyer as to what to do with the flying line. And very often, when the kite nose is pointed down, a new kite flyer will do the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. When the nose is pointed down and the kite is headed downward, they pull hard on the flying line, thinking that it will eliminate a crash. Well, that's exactly what happens, is that when you pull hard, when the kite is pointed downward, it just accelerates the downward motion of the kite, and it hits the ground harder and quicker. So when you're new to flying fighter kites, this is so anti-intuitive that having a kite like this, that's slower in its reaction, will give you time to think about and really get a handle on how to respond properly to keep the kite flying and to do different maneuvers that you're interested in doing. Now, there are very, very few commercially made kites that are fighter kites, except for those that are made in India or Pakistan, which are made from bamboo and paper, and generally they fly well, but they're not durable. The paper dissolves if it gets wet, and so on. But this kite is really a really good idea. Now, I live in Arizona, and we're now having some lightning and thunderstorms, so I haven't flown this yet. When I do, and I'm eager to do it, I'll make a video and tell you how it flew. But one of the things, because of its size, that you're going to want to pay attention to is, because of the surface area, it's going to pull hard on your flying line. So make sure that the flying line you use has a large enough diameter so that it's very, very easy for you to grip it firmly and hold it with a lot of pressure against it, because the kite will produce more pressure against the flying line hand holding the line than kites like I'm used to flying that are about this size. I would recommend using a line that is either cotton or maybe braided dacron that's large enough in diameter so you can get a good grip on it.